What would you do if you walked in on this? Hit like if you've ever been betrayed, and comment below where you're watching from. Rain poured heavily over Lagos that night, lightning flashing across the skyline. Tommy's heart raced as she parked outside her Victoria Island home. She had left work early, excited to surprise her husband Kunle with dinner. They hadn't spoken much lately, but she believed love could still heal what silence had broken. As she opened the front door, the air smelled different, sweet perfume, not hers. Soft music floated from the living room. She followed the sound, her heels echoing against the marble floor. Then she froze. On their couch, half-dressed, was Kunle, laughing softly with Linda, a woman in a gold dress, her legs draped over his lap, wine glasses beside them. Kunle's arm rested on Linda's waist as if it belonged there. Tommy's voice cracked. "Kunle, what is this?" Kunle stiffened. His eyes flicked toward her, startled, then calm. "Cold. Tommy, you're home early." Linda didn't flinch. She turned slowly, her lips curling into a smirk. "Oh, so this is the wife," she said in a low, mocking tone. "You should have called first, darling." Tommy's eyes filled with tears. "Kunle, after everything we've been through, after all the years I stood by you." Kunle sighed, annoyed. "Tommy, don't make this dramatic. I've changed. I want more out of life." "More than me?" she whispered. "More than this small life," he said flatly. "Linda understands my dreams. She's not holding me back." Tommy's chest burned. "I gave you everything: love, support, trust." Kunle stepped forward, voice sharp. "And I'm grateful. But I've outgrown you, Tommy. You'll survive. You always do." Linda reached for his hand and smiled. "Come, baby. Don't waste your breath." The final straw snapped inside her. Without another word, Tommy turned and stumbled into the rain, tears mixing with water as she drove off blindly into the storm. The next morning, her phone buzzed with a message from Kunle. "Let's not create drama. I'll send you money. Please don't embarrass me." She stared at the message, rage trembling through her hands. Embarrass him? After he humiliated her in her own home? She drove straight to their lawyer's office, her face pale and determined. The young lawyer, stunned, hesitated as she demanded access to their company documents. "Tommy, there's something you should see," he said quietly. He handed her a folder. Inside were hundreds of files, property deeds, investment portfolios, all under her name. Estates in Lekki, commercial buildings in Abuja, rentals in Ghana. Assets worth more than $500 million. Her voice shook. This can't be mine." "It is," Tun said. "Your father's inheritance was invested in real estate under your name years ago. Kunle's been moving some of them without your knowledge." She dropped the papers, her heart pounding. Kunle wasn't just leaving her. He was erasing her. She walked out of the office into the hot afternoon sun, her thoughts spinning. He must never know she'd found out. That evening, Tommy sat in her car by the lagoon bridge, staring at the city lights. Her phone buzzed. An unknown number. She answered. A man's voice whispered urgently. "Mrs. Tommy, you don't know me, but listen carefully. You're in danger. They've planned an accident. Leave Lagos tonight." Her pulse spiked. "Who is this? What are you saying?" The line went dead. Her hands trembled as she started the engine. Headlights flashed in her mirror, a black SUV following close. Too close. Her phone rang again. "Kunle." She answered, voice shaking. "Kunle, someone just called," they said. "Tommy," he interrupted calmly. "You need to rest. Stop imagining things. Go home." But his tone wasn't concerned. It was cold, controlled. Something inside her snapped. The SUV behind her accelerated, slamming into her rear bumper. Once, twice, she screamed, gripping the wheel, but the rain-slick road betrayed her. Her car spun out of control, metal scraping against metal, glass shattering like screams in the dark. Then silence. When she woke, the world was white and blurred. A hospital room, beeping monitors, pain everywhere. A nurse rushed to her side. "Madam, You're awake. Please don't move. You survived a terrible crash. Tommy's throat was dry. How long have I been here? 2 days. You were unconscious. We called your husband. He came once. Her voice faltered. He left with another woman. He said you wouldn't make it. Tommy's eyes filled with tears. She turned her face toward the window, seeing the faint outline of the city skyline beyond. Kunle had walked away. He had left her to die. The betrayal sank deeper than the wounds in her body. The man she had loved, the one she trusted, had planned this. Wanted her gone, so he could take everything. Her hand clenched weakly against the sheets. If he wanted her dead, he would soon learn she was still alive. And this time, she would rise not as a wife, but as a storm. She turned her head as footsteps approached. The nurse again, carrying a letter. This was left at the reception for you, she said gently. Tommy opened it slowly. Inside was a note written in unfamiliar handwriting. You survived what was meant to kill you. Stay hidden. They think you're gone. Don't trust anyone. Her breath caught. They think you're gone. She lay still, her heart pounding as the truth settled over her like a shadow. Kunle hadn't just left her. He had tried to bury her. And now, she had the power to haunt him from the ashes. The beeping of the monitor quickened as she whispered into the cold air. You tried to kill me, Kunle. Now, I will take everything. Lightning flashed across the Lagos sky, a storm rising again. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for the next chapter, where Tommy begins her secret recovery and learns just how deep Kunle's betrayal goes. What do you think she should do next? Comment below. The soft hum of hospital machines filled the room, but inside Tommy's chest, a storm was brewing. 3 days had passed since the accident, or rather, the attempted murder. Her body was bruised. Her ribs ached, but her spirit burned with a new fire. The nurse who had cared for her, Chioma, was the only one who spoke kindly. Everyone else treated her like someone waiting for her last breath. But Tommy wasn't dying. She was rising. As Chioma adjusted her foredrip, she whispered softly, You're a strong woman, Ma. I've seen people with less injuries give up. But you fight even in your sleep. Tommy managed a weak smile. Because someone wants me gone, and I can't give them that satisfaction. Chioma frowned. What do you mean? Tommy turned her gaze toward the window, the Lagos skyline glowing faintly in the distance. It wasn't an accident, Chioma. Someone planned this. The nurse's eyes widened. Who would do that? Tommy closed her eyes. Kunle's face flashed in her mind. The coldness, the arrogance, the way he told her she'd survive like she didn't matter. Then the SUV, the call, the silence. She whispered, My husband. Chioma gasped quietly. Huh, God forbid. But you think he? Tommy nodded slowly. I don't think. I know. The room fell silent. Outside, thunder rolled softly over the city, as if Lagos itself was mourning her broken heart. That afternoon, a doctor came to discharge her. You're healing well, Mrs. Tommy, but you'll need to rest and stay away from stress. She signed the papers with trembling hands. Doctor, she asked softly, does anyone else know I survived? He shook his head. The police listed it as a fatal crash. No family came forward. Officially, you're gone. Her pen froze mid-signature. Gone. The word echoed through her mind like a secret weapon. If the world believed she was dead, then Kunle believed it too. A bitter, quiet smile crept across her face. Perfect. Later that evening, Chioma helped her into a cab, disguised in a shawl and sunglasses. Ma, where will you go now? Somewhere no one will look for me, Tommy whispered. She gave the driver an address. Ikorodu, far from the glamour of Lekki and Victoria Island. A quiet neighborhood where her late aunt once lived. The small bungalow had been untouched for years, but it would do. As they drove through the bustling Lagos traffic, Tommy stared out the window, watching people hurry through the rain, oblivious to her pain. A woman reborn in silence. When they arrived, she thanked the driver, slipped into the dusty house, and closed the door. The air smelled of old memories and forgotten days. She sat on the bed and finally let the tears fall. She cried for her broken marriage. She cried for the love that had turned into a weapon. She cried for the woman she used to be. But when the tears dried, only steel remained. The next morning, she opened her laptop, hands still shaky, and searched the news. Headline: Prominent entrepreneur Kunle Adebayo spotted with new partner at charity gala. Sources say wife, Tomi Adebayo, passed away tragically in a car crash last week. Tomi stared at the photo, Kunle and Linda, smiling in designer clothes, holding hands for the cameras. Her funeral had become their red carpet debut. Her heart clenched, but she swallowed the pain. Let them celebrate. Let them think she was buried. Because soon they would realize ghosts don't stay silent. Later that day, she received a message from an unknown number. I'm the one who warned you. Meet me tomorrow at Elagushi Beach. Noon. Come alone. She hesitated, fear prickling her spine. But curiosity burned hotter. If this man saved her life, he knew more. The next day, dressed in simple clothes and a headscarf, she made her way to the beach. The waves crashed gently against the shore. Children played nearby, couples walked hand in hand, and somewhere in the chaos, a stranger was waiting. A tall man approached her quietly, wearing sunglasses and a dark jacket. His voice was low. Mrs. Tomi? She nodded cautiously. I'm David, a private investigator, he said. I used to work with your husband. He hired me to track your inheritance years ago. When I realized what he was planning, I couldn't stay silent. Tommy's eyes widened. He planned my accident. David nodded grimly. He told the contact to stage a crash. They followed you that night. You weren't meant to survive. Tommy's stomach turned. Why? For money. For everything, David said. Your properties, your company's shares, your father's estate. He's transferring them to Linda's name now. Tomi felt her chest tighten. And no one knows? Not yet, David said. But if you stay dead, he'll own everything within months. Tomi took a shaky breath. Then I can't stay dead. Not forever. David leaned closer. Not yet. You need proof first. Evidence of his transfers. I can help you, but you must stay hidden. One mistake, and he'll finish what he started. Tomi nodded slowly, resolve hardening in her eyes. She would wait. She would heal. And when the time came, she would strike like lightning. That night, she lay on the small bed in her aunt's old house, listening to the rain tapping softly on the roof. Her body still ached, but inside, something fierce was growing. Not anger, not fear, but clarity. Kunle had chosen greed over love. He had left her to die. Now, she would let him build his empire on stolen bricks until she returned to take it all back. The world thought Tomi Adebayo was dead, but the woman who rose from the ashes would be stronger than the one they buried. As she drifted to sleep, her phone buzzed with one more message from David. They're moving fast. Tomorrow, they're selling your first estate in Lekki. I'll send you proof. Tomi stared at the screen, her heart steady. Tomorrow, the battle would begin, and she would fight from the shadows. The wind outside howled softly through the window, carrying her whisper into the night. You tried to kill me, Kunle, but I'm still here, and soon you'll wish I wasn't. The lamp flickered, and darkness filled the room. But in her eyes, fire burned brighter than ever. Tomi woke up in the hospital with a pounding in her head and a heavy bandage across her forehead. The room smelled of antiseptic and cold air, and the rhythmic beep of the monitor beside her was the only sign she was still alive. Her right leg was wrapped in plaster, and her chest burned every time she tried to breathe. She tried to speak, but her throat was dry. When a nurse noticed she was awake, she hurried over with a soft smile. You're lucky to be alive, Ma. The accident was terrible, the nurse said gently, pouring water into a cup and holding it to her lips. Accident, Tomi whispered, confusion clouding her face. Then the memories crashed into her. Kunle driving too fast, the shouting, the sudden turn, the scream, then darkness. Her heart clenched. Where's my husband? Is he okay? The nurse hesitated. He wasn't here when you were brought in. The police said he left the scene before the ambulance arrived. Tommy's eyes widened in shock. He left me. The nurse looked away. You need to rest. You lost a lot of blood. But Tommy couldn't rest. Pain wasn't just in her body. It was buried deep in her heart. She remembered seeing another car before the crash, parked a few meters away. A woman stepped out. She thought she saw Linda's face through the haze. Was it possible Kunle had staged the whole thing? Days passed. No one came. Not Kunle. Not even his family. Tommy's younger brother, Femi, finally arrived, his face tight with anger. Sis, I found Kunle. He's with Linda. They said you'll be fine, Femi said bitterly. What? Tommy gasped. He's living with her? Femi nodded. He moved into her mansion in Lekki 2 days after your accident. People say he's showing her off everywhere. Tommy felt her chest tighten. She wanted to scream, but tears rolled silently down her cheeks instead. Don't stress yourself, sis, Femi said softly. We'll get you back on your feet. I'll handle everything. But Tommy's mind was racing. Why would Kunle abandon me now? Was I just a burden? Or was this all part of his plan? When the doctor came in, he handed her a bill. Ma, your treatment costs must be paid before discharge. Her eyes widened when she saw the amount. But my husband's company always handled our medicals. Your name has been removed from his insurance list, the doctor said bluntly. That was the moment Tommy knew. Kunle wanted her gone, forgotten. Femi clenched his fists. Don't worry. I'll find a way. But you need to be strong, Tommy. You'll walk again. You'll rise. Over the next few weeks, Tommy endured painful therapy sessions. Each step was agony, but she refused to give up. She thought of her marriage, the laughter, the shared dreams, and wondered how it all turned into this nightmare. One evening, as she stared out the hospital window watching the sunset over Lagos, a familiar figure appeared in the hallway. Kunle. He wore a crisp white shirt and designer sunglasses. Behind him stood Linda, holding a designer handbag. Tommy's heart skipped. Kunle. He didn't smile. He looked cold, distant. I came to sign the discharge papers. I've made arrangements for you to stay at a small apartment on the mainland. I can't afford to keep paying here. Tommy blinked back tears. You're abandoning me? After everything we built together. Linda stepped forward, smirking. He's doing what's best for him. You should focus on healing and move on. Move on, Tommy whispered. You took my husband, and now you want my life too? Kunle's jaw tightened. Enough, Tommy. You brought this on yourself. You were too controlling, too slow to dream big. Linda understands me. She's my future. He turned to leave, but Tommy grabbed his sleeve with trembling fingers. Kunle, did you cause the accident? His eyes flickered, and for a moment, she saw guilt flash across his face. But then he pulled away coldly. Don't be ridiculous. Tommy watched as they walked out together, leaving her broken, humiliated, and alone. That night, Tommy couldn't sleep. Her mind replayed every word, every betrayal. But when Femi brought her a folder the next morning, something inside her stirred. Sis, look, Femi whispered, placing documents before her. These are deeds, properties, businesses, all in your name. You inherited them from Dad. Did you know they're now worth over $500 million? Tommy's eyes widened. What? That can't be right. I never. It's true, Femi said. Kunle doesn't know. He thought they were worthless investments, so he ignored them. But the value skyrocketed. Tommy's trembling fingers clutched the papers. She wasn't helpless. For the first time in weeks, hope flared. But as she looked at her reflection, thin, weak, bandaged, she whispered, He left me to die, but I will rise. And when I do, he'll regret it. The door suddenly burst open. A police officer stepped in. Mrs. Tommy Adeyemi? She turned, startled. Yes, you're needed for questioning. Your husband reported you for theft and fraud. Tommy's mouth fell open. Theft? She looked at Femi in disbelief. He clenched his jaw. This is a setup, sis. He's coming for everything. Tommy's heart pounded. Just as she was beginning to find her strength, another storm was rising. Would Kunle try to destroy her completely? Or would this be the start of her revenge? Cliffhanger. Tommy's phone buzzed with a new message from an unknown number. It read, "You don't know the truth about your accident. Meet me at Freedom Bridge tomorrow night. Come alone." Her hands shook as she stared at the message. Who could it be? Was someone else involved? Or was Kunle hiding something even darker? What do you think is the secret behind Tommy's accident? Should she go to the meeting? Comment your thoughts below. Like this story if you've ever felt betrayed. And don't forget to subscribe for the next gripping chapter. The message on Tommy's phone glowed like a warning in the dark hospital room. You don't know the truth about your accident. Meet me at Freedom Bridge tomorrow night. Come alone. Her hands trembled as she reread it over and over again. Her heart pounded. Who could know something about the crash? Could it be one of Kunle's friends? A witness? Or the person who caused it? Femi noticed the fear in her eyes. What's wrong, sis? Tommy showed him the phone. He frowned deeply. This could be a trap. You can't go alone. Kunle is desperate. He's already framing you for fraud. Tommy took a deep breath. But what if it's someone who knows the truth? Femi, I need answers. I can't heal if I don't know what really happened that night. Femi looked torn. Then I'll come with you. We'll stay hidden, just in case. The next night, Lagos was alive with honking cars, flickering lights, and restless noise. Tommy, now walking with a crutch, wore a hoodie and kept her face low as she approached Freedom Bridge. The wind off the lagoon was cold, and the city's glow reflected in the dark water below. A figure stood near the railing, half hidden in the shadows, a woman in a long brown coat. Tommy Adeyemi, the woman called softly. Yes, Tommy answered, cautious. Who are you? The woman stepped forward. Her face was pale, eyes filled with guilt. My name is Ada. I was Kunle's driver that night. Tommy's heart jumped. Kunle's driver? Then you were there. Ada nodded slowly. I was following behind his car. He told me to stay close because he said you two were arguing. Then I saw him make a sudden turn, swerving toward the barrier. He jumped out before the crash. Tommy froze. What did you just say? Ada's voice shook. He jumped out. He left you in the car. He wanted it to look like an accident. The words sliced through Tommy's heart like a blade. He tried to kill me. Ada looked away. I didn't know at first. But later, I heard him tell Linda it was done. That once you were gone, he'd be free. Tommy staggered back, clutching her chest. She wanted to scream, but her throat closed. The man she loved, the one she built a life with, had left her to die. Why are you telling me this now? She whispered. Because he's planning something worse. He wants to claim your properties. He thinks you don't know what you own. Ada said urgently. You have to protect yourself. Everything is in motion. Before Tommy could ask more, headlights flashed from the road. A black SUV screeched to a halt nearby. Ada's eyes widened. They found me. Run. Tommy turned to flee, but her injured leg slowed her. Two men in dark clothes jumped out of the car. Get her, one shouted. Femi appeared from behind a concrete pillar, swinging a metal pipe. He hit one man hard in the shoulder, and Tommy limped toward the roadside. Go, sis. Go, Femi yelled. She stumbled toward a waiting taxi. Ada ran in the opposite direction. One of the men chased her, while the other tried to grab Tommy's arm, but she yanked free and jumped into the car. Drive. Please drive, she cried. The taxi sped off into the Lagos night. Tommy's body shook uncontrollably. Her tears blurred the city lights. She had nearly died once already. Now, they were trying again. When they got home, Femi locked the doors and drew the curtains. We can't go to the police yet. Kunle has connections. He'll twist the story. Tommy clenched her fists. He tried to kill me for money. But he doesn't know I'm worth more than he ever imagined. I'll fight back, Femi. I'll expose him. Femi nodded. Then we start by gathering proof. Ada can testify, and we'll dig into his finances. He must have left a trail. Over the next few days, Tommy began her quiet war. She contacted her father's lawyer, Mr. Ease, who confirmed the value of her real estate empire. Luxury apartments in Lekki, commercial buildings in Abuja, and undeveloped land in Ikoyi, all worth over $500 million. Kunle never understood the assets, the lawyer said. Your father hid them under your maiden name. Only you can access them. Tomi's eyes hardened. Then it's time to use them. She started transferring ownership into a trust, securing her empire beyond Kunle's reach. She also hired a private investigator to track down Ada and gather evidence of the crash. But as she planned her comeback, another blow landed. Her bank account, frozen. Her company email, blocked. And a legal notice arrived at her apartment door. Kunle had filed a lawsuit, claiming Tomi was mentally unstable and unfit to manage her affairs. He was requesting control of all shared assets. Tomi's hands trembled as she read the papers. He's trying to declare me insane. Femi slammed his fist on the table. This man won't stop until you're ruined. Tomi took a deep breath, tears welling in her eyes, but fire burning in her heart. Then I'll give him what he deserves. I'll make him face the same humiliation he gave me. I'll fight in court. I'll show the world who he really is. But before she could take another step, her phone buzzed again. A new message. He knows about the properties now. He's coming for you tonight. Tomi's blood ran cold. She turned to Femi, whispering, "We're not safe here anymore." Just then, glass shattered from the back door. Heavy footsteps echoed in the dark. A voice, deep, familiar, dangerous, called out, "Tomi, you should have stayed quiet." It was Kunle, and he wasn't alone. Tomi and Femi froze as Kunle stepped into the living room, holding a document in one hand and a gun in the other. "You're not walking away with my fortune, Tomi," he hissed. "Not this time." Tomi's breath caught in her throat. The dim light from the hallway cast a ghostly shadow across Kunle's face as he stepped closer, the gun glinting in his hand. His eyes were bloodshot, his lips trembling, not with sorrow, but with rage. "Kunle, what are you doing?" Tomi whispered, backing toward the sofa, her crutch trembling beneath her arm. He sneered. "You think you can outsmart me? You think you can hide what's mine? Those properties, those billions, they belong to us. You're not going to ruin me, Tomi. I worked too hard for this life." Femi stepped in front of his sister, his voice steady. "Put the gun down, Kunle. You've already destroyed her once. Don't make this worse." Kunle's laugh was bitter. "Destroyed her? She's been planning against me all along. You think I don't know? I saw the transfers, the lawyer visits, the meetings. She's turning everything against me." Tomi shook her head, tears welling in her eyes. "You left me to die, Kunle. You jumped out of that car and let it crash with me inside. You were supposed to protect me, not kill me." For a brief moment, guilt flickered across his face, then vanished. "You were in the way. You were weak. I needed someone who could push me higher. Linda believed in my dreams." "Your dream," Femi snapped. "Your dream is greed. You'd sell your soul for one more zero in your account." Kunle's hand tightened on the gun. "Shut up," he barked, his voice echoing through the small apartment. "You think you know me? You don't know what it's like to claw your way from nothing, to finally have power, and then watch your wife hold the key and refuse to use it." Tomi took a shaky breath. "I would have given you everything, Kunle, but you wanted it all without me." His lips curled into a cold smile. "You're right. Without you, I can have it all." Then he stepped closer, the gun now just inches from her face. Femi lunged. "No!" The gun went off. A deafening bang filled the room. Tomi screamed as Femi crashed in her, both of them falling to the floor. Smoke curled from the gun barrel. Kunle froze, eyes wide, realizing what he had done. Blood trickled down Femi's arm. "It's okay," he grunted, clutching the wound. "Just a graze." Before Kunle could fire again, red and blue lights flashed through the window. Sirens wailed outside. Kunle's face twisted in panic. No, this can't be happening." The door burst open. Police officers stormed in, guns drawn. "Drop the weapon," one shouted. Kunle turned toward them, still holding the gun. It's not what it looks like. She's stealing from me. But it was too late. Officers tackled him to the ground, wrenching the gun from his hand. Tomi sat trembling, her heart pounding as they cuffed him. One officer turned to her. "Ma'am, are you okay? We received an anonymous tip. Someone said you were in danger." Tomi blinked. Anonymous? Her mind flashed to Ada. She must have called. Kunle struggled as they dragged him out. "Tomi, you'll regret this. You think you've won? I'll ruin you in court." His voice faded down the hall, leaving only silence and the heavy thud of Tomi's heartbeat. She leaned into Femi's shoulder, tears streaming down her face. "I just wanted love, not war." Femi wrapped his arm around her. He showed the world who he really is tonight. Now you fight back, with truth, not fear. Days later, Tomi stood in a crisp navy dress before a crowded courtroom in Acadia. The trial for Kunle's assault had drawn media attention. Betrayed wife survives husband's murder plot splashed across every headline. Kunle sat at the defense table beside his lawyer, jaw clenched, eyes burning with resentment. Linda wasn't by his side anymore. Rumors said she had fled abroad when Kunle's assets were frozen. The judge reviewed the evidence. Ada's sworn statement, Tomi's hospital records, the gun registered in Kunle's name, and the police footage of his arrest. When it was Tomi's turn to speak, she stood tall despite her limp. "I love my husband," she began, voice steady but filled with pain. "I gave him my loyalty, my years, my heart. But he gave me betrayal, lies, and pain. I survived an accident he caused, and tonight I survived his bullet. But I will not let him destroy me again. I will rise from this." Gasps rippled through the courtroom. Kunle's face turned pale. The judge banged the gavel. "This court finds Kunle Adeyemi guilty of attempted murder and fraud. He is hereby sentenced to 15 years in prison." Tomi closed her eyes, a tear sliding down her cheek. It wasn't triumph, it was sorrow. The man she once loved was gone, replaced by greed and pride. But the nightmare wasn't over. That night, as she sat alone in her apartment, her phone buzzed with another message. It's not over. He wasn't working alone. Tomi's hand shook. She quickly called Femi, but the line didn't connect. She tried again. Still nothing. Then came a second message. "Meet me at the old warehouse by Eco Bridge if you want the full truth." Tomi's heart raced. Was it Ada again? Or another enemy? She stared out the window at the Lagos skyline, knowing one thing for sure. Her story wasn't finished. The web of betrayal ran deeper than Kunle. Someone else had been pulling the strings. She stood slowly, gripping her crutch, and whispered, "I've come this far. I'm not backing down now." As Tomi prepared to leave, a shadow moved outside her window. Then, a knock on her door. Slow, heavy, repeating. She froze, whispering to herself, "Who's there?" No answer, just silence. Then the doorknob began to turn. The slow twist of the doorknob sent chills racing down Tomi's spine. Her breath caught in her throat as she gripped her crutch tighter, heart pounding so loudly she could barely hear the soft click of the lock shifting. The door creaked open an inch. "Who's there?" she whispered, voice trembling. No answer, only the sound of footsteps, soft, deliberate. Then a familiar voice cut through the darkness. "Tomi, it's me." She froze. "Ada." The door swung open, and Ada stepped inside, glancing nervously over her shoulder before quickly shutting it again. Her face was pale, eyes darting around the room. Tomi exhaled shakily. "You scared me. What are you doing here?" Ada stepped closer. "I didn't have a choice. They know I talked to you. I've been hiding. But you need to know the truth before they silence me." Tomi's chest tightened. "The truth about what?" "Kunle's already in prison." Ada shook her head. "No, Tomi. Kunle wasn't the mastermind. He was a pawn. Someone else wanted you gone." Tomi's eyes widened. "Who?" Ada hesitated, wringing her hands. "Your father's old business partner, Chief Duroji. He wanted full control of the estate your father left behind. When he learned you were the sole heir, he used Kunle's greed to his advantage. He promised him money and influence if he helped remove you. Tomi felt the room spin. Chief Drogi, he attended my wedding. He gave us gifts. Ada nodded. He made it all look like love and loyalty. But it was a setup. The accident was planned. And when that failed, Kunle turned desperate. Tomi sank into the sofa, her voice breaking. So Kunle betrayed me. And Chief Drogi wanted me dead. All for money. Ada placed a hand on her shoulder. You have to act fast. Chief Drogi is trying to transfer part of your property using forged documents. He's using contacts at the land registry. You must stop him before it's too late. Tomi wiped her tears, her face hardening with resolve. No more running. This ends now. Before Ada could respond, a loud bang echoed from the hallway, like a door slamming open. Ada's eyes widened. They found me. Tomi rose quickly, gripping her crutch. Ooh! Footsteps thundered closer. Voices shouted from outside. Ada whispered urgently. Go to your lawyer, Mr. Ease. He's the only one you can trust. He has documents proving your ownership. Don't let them find you here. The window shattered. A masked man reached in, grabbing Ada's arm. She screamed. Run, Tomi. Ada cried. Tomi turned, limping toward the back door as another figure burst into the living room. She swung her crutch wildly, striking the man's shoulder before pushing herself through the narrow exit. She stumbled down the stairs, heart pounding, lungs burning, and hailed the first taxi she saw. Go! Fast! She shouted, tears streaming down her face as the building shrank behind her. In the rearview mirror, 2 dark SUVs pulled up outside her apartment. By dawn, Tomi was sitting in Mr. Ease's office in Victoria Island. Her clothes were torn, and exhaustion lined her face. The elderly lawyer frowned deeply as she explained everything. I feared this day would come, he said quietly. Your father warned me to keep certain documents hidden until you were ready. Drogi was always ambitious, but I never thought he'd resort to murder. He handed her a sealed envelope. Inside are the original titles to your properties, with security codes only you can use. Take them to the Central Land Registry. They'll prove your ownership. Tomi clutched the envelope tightly. And Chief Drogi? Mr. Ease sighed. He's powerful, but once you present these, his forgery will be exposed. Still, you must be careful. He won't go down quietly. Tomi stood, her voice steady. He wanted me gone, but now I'll confront him face to face. Later that afternoon, Tomi arrived at Chief Drogi's mansion in Ikoyi. 2 armed guards watched as she approached the grand iron gate. The chief stepped out onto the balcony above, wearing a white agbada and dark glasses, a smug smile playing on his lips. Well, well, he called down, the ghost returns. Tomi stared up at him, anger boiling beneath her calm exterior. Why, Chief? Why did you do this to me? My father trusted you. He laughed coldly. Your father was a fool. He built an empire and left it to a sentimental daughter. I built him. I made those investments grow. They should have been mine. You tried to kill me, she said, voice shaking. He shrugged. You survived, but that won't matter when the documents say otherwise. Tomi pulled out the sealed envelope. These say the truth. For the first time, his confident expression faltered. This isn't over, he growled. You're playing a dangerous game. So are you, she replied, stepping back. And you're about to lose. She turned and walked away, her steps slow but steady. She was done being the victim. That evening, Tomi and Femi met with an investigative journalist from the Lagos Mirror. They handed over the documents, Ada's recorded testimony, and the court files. The journalist leaned back, astonished. This story will shake the city. Betrayal, attempted murder, corruption, it has everything. Tomi nodded quietly. Let the world see the truth. The next morning, headlines exploded across Lagos. Business tycoon linked to failed murder plot. Billion-dollar fraud uncovered. Chief Drogi's properties were sealed. The police issued a warrant for his arrest. Tomi watched the news from her living room, her heart heavy. She had justice. but the cost was everything she once loved. She looked at her reflection in the window and whispered, "I survived. But at what price?" Just then, her phone buzzed again. A new message. "We're not done yet. You took everything from me, and I'm coming for you." The sender, Kunle. Her hand trembled. He had somehow escaped prison, and now he wanted revenge. A loud explosion boomed from outside, shattering glass and shaking the walls. Tomi fell to the floor, heart racing. Smoke filled the air. She crawled to the window and froze. Her car was engulfed in flames. Someone had just tried to kill her again. What would you do if your past came back burning for revenge? Like this story if you believe Tomi deserves peace and justice. Comment your thoughts on Kunle's escape and Chief Drogia's betrayal. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for Chapter 7, where Tomi faces her most dangerous enemy, yet in this gripping tale of domestic betrayal, revenge, and resilience. Tomi sat in the quiet of her living room, staring at the firelight flickering from a scented candle on the coffee table. It was the first time in months the house felt alive again. Not because Kunle had returned, but because she had finally begun to accept that she could build her own peace without him. The accident had changed everything. Her body still bore scars, but her heart was learning to beat differently. Slowly, her strength was returning. Her lawyers were closing in on the secret properties she owned. Those Kunle had ignored, believing she was only his dependent housewife. The irony made her chuckle bitterly. She reached for her phone and scrolled through her messages. One in particular caught her attention. It was from a private investigator she had hired weeks earlier. The message read, "Madam, I found out something you need to see. It's about your husband's new life." Her fingers trembled as she dialed back immediately. The investigator's voice came steady. "Madam Tomi, I followed Kunle and the lady he's living with. Her name is Linda. They've moved into a mansion in Lekki, one he registered under her name 2 weeks after your accident. He's also trying to transfer your old properties into shell companies." Tomi felt a sharp pain in her chest. "He's stealing from me while I'm still alive," she whispered. "Yes, ma'am," the man replied. "But there's something else. I overheard them talking about liquidating one of your biggest investments, the Ocean View estate, before the end of the month. They think you're too weak to fight back." Tomi closed her eyes. Ocean View estate was the crown jewel of her portfolio, a $200 million asset that only she and her lawyer truly understood. If Kunle managed to tamper with it, it could destroy everything she had built. "Thank you," she said softly. "Send me everything you have." When the call ended, Tomi sat frozen. Betrayal was one thing, but theft after leaving her to die, that was unforgivable. The next morning, she put on a cream-colored blazer and stepped into her lawyer's office. Mr. Adebayo, an elderly man with calm eyes, rose to greet her. "Tomi, I'm glad to see you up and strong again," he said. "How are you feeling?" "Better," she said, "but I need your help to protect everything. Kunle is trying to sell off my estate." Mr. Adebayo's expression hardened. "Then it's time we moved from silence to action." They spent hours going over her legal documents, uncovering every loophole. Tomi discovered that Kunle had forged her digital signature on one of the transfer documents, a bold and criminal move. Mr. Adebayo suggested freezing all transactions and alerting the bank. But before the end of the meeting, Tomi's phone rang. It was a strange number. When she answered, she heard Linda's voice, mocking and sweet. "Tomi, I'm glad you survived. But you should know, Kunle belongs to me now. He's finally with someone who appreciates him." Tomi clenched her fist. "Does appreciation mean stealing what isn't yours?" Linda laughed. "Oh, please. You were too naive to see what you had. Kunle is building a new life, and soon, your past will mean nothing." The call ended abruptly, leaving Tomi shaking. That night, Tomi stood on her balcony overlooking the city lights of Lagos. The air was heavy with rain, and her mind burned with thoughts of revenge, not the kind that destroys, but the kind that restores justice. She remembered all the sacrifices she had made to build their empire. the sleepless nights, the deals she negotiated in silence while Kunle took the credit. No more silence. The next day, she called a press conference, not as a victim, but as a businesswoman reclaiming her power. Dressed in an elegant green suit, she stepped before the cameras. "Good morning," she began, her voice steady. "My name is Tomi Adebayo. Months ago, I was involved in a near-fatal accident. During my recovery, my husband abandoned me. But worse than that, he tried to steal the properties I built with my own hands. Today, I want to make it clear, I am back alive and fully in control." The reporters erupted in questions, flashes of cameras filling the room. Within hours, her story was trending across Lagos. Hashtag Tomi returns. Hashtag betrayal and revenge. That night, Kunle stormed into her compound for the first time since the accident, shouting, "Tomi, how dare you humiliate me like this?" Tomi stood calmly at the doorway. "You humiliated yourself when you left me to die. You thought I was weak. But you were wrong, Kunle." His eyes darkened. "You think you can fight me? I'll destroy you before you destroy me." He stepped closer, his anger uncontrolled, but Tomi didn't flinch. For the first time, she saw him clearly. Not as the man she loved, but as the stranger who valued wealth more than life. "Then let the truth decide who wins," she said softly. Kunle sneered and turned away. "We'll see about that." As he left, Tomi's heart pounded. She knew he wouldn't stop. Not until he had either ruined her or been exposed completely. But she wasn't afraid anymore. This was her turning point. Later that night, while reviewing the security cameras in her living room, Tomi noticed something chilling, a shadowy figure loitering near her gate, moving suspiciously in the dark. The same figure appeared 2 more times that week, always around midnight. Someone was watching her. Was it Kunle, or was someone worse? Her phone buzzed again, another message from the investigator. "Madam, I think you're in danger. They're planning something serious." Tomi stared at the screen, her pulse quickening. "What are they planning?" she whispered. The reply came seconds later. "An attack tonight." Tomi froze. Outside, thunder rumbled over the city of Lagos. And then, she heard footsteps approaching her door. Tomi's heart stopped as the door handle began to turn slowly. Someone was inside her compound, alone and unarmed. She reached for her phone, but before she could call for help, the lights flickered and went out. The house plunged into darkness. A shadow moved behind her. The darkness pressed in around Tomi like a suffocating blanket. Her breath came in sharp bursts, her heartbeat pounding against her ribs. She could hear footsteps, soft, deliberate, moving across the tiled floor of her living room. "Who's there?" she called out, her voice trembling but firm. No answer. She groped for her phone on the table, but before she could reach it, a beam of light flashed across the room. A tall figure in black stood near the doorway, face hidden under a hood. "Stay back," Tomi shouted, snatching a decorative lamp from the shelf as a weapon. The intruder froze. Then in a low, urgent whisper said, "Madam Tomi, it's me, Segan, the investigator." Tomi exhaled shakily, lowering the lamp. "Segan, what are you doing here? You almost gave me a heart attack." "I'm sorry, Ma. I had to warn you in person. Kunle has hired 2 men to break in tonight. They were paid to scare you, or worse." A chill crawled up her spine. "What do they want from me now? Haven't they taken enough?" Segan's voice dropped lower. "Kunle is desperate. After your press conference, investors began questioning his credibility. He's trying to silence you before you expose more." Tomi steadied herself. "Then we won't give him that chance." Segan handed her a flash drive. "This contains all the evidence, fake signatures, money transfers, conversations. If anything happens to you, I'll release it to the press." Tomi gripped the flash drive tightly. "No, we use it ourselves. Tomorrow morning, we go public with proof." Before Segan could reply, a loud crash echoed from outside. The compound gate creaked open violently. "They're here," Segan whispered. "We need to move now." They slipped through the back door and climbed into Tomi's car. As they sped away, Tomi glanced back at her house, the lights still flickering, two dark figures stepping into her living room. Her sanctuary had become a battlefield. By dawn, Tomi sat in a safe house arranged by her lawyer. She hadn't slept. Her thoughts circled around Kunle, how he had turned from partner to predator, how love had become a weapon. At 8 a.m., she met with Mr. Adebayo and Segan again. They spread documents across the table, property titles, transfer receipts, voice recordings. "This is more than betrayal," Mr. Adebayo said gravely. "It's criminal conspiracy. If we file this today, Kunle could face charges for fraud and attempted extortion." Tomi nodded slowly. "Do it, but I want him to see me when it happens." Her lawyer gave a small smile. "Then let's invite him to a meeting." That afternoon, Tomi called Kunle. "Kunle," she said, keeping her tone calm, "I'm tired of fighting. Let's talk. Face to face." There was a pause. Then his smug voice replied, "So you finally realize you can't win? Fine. Let's meet at the old office. Tomorrow at noon," she said. "Come alone." He agreed. But Tomi wasn't coming alone. She would bring her lawyer, the investigator, and, quietly, two police officers waiting nearby. The next day, the tension in the air was heavy as Kunle walked into the office. He looked sharp in a navy suit, but his eyes darted nervously. "Tomi," he said with forced charm, "I never wanted it to be like this. You've embarrassed me, but I'm willing to forgive you if you just sign over." "Forgive me," Tomi interrupted, her voice cutting like glass. "For surviving the accident you left me in? For exposing your lies?" Kunle's expression hardened. "You're making a mistake." Mr. Adebayo slid a file across the table. "The mistake, Mr. Adebayo, was yours. Here's every document you forged, every transfer you try to hide. The police already have copies." Kunle's eyes widened. "You wouldn't." "Oh, I already did," Tomi said softly. "You tried to erase me, Kunle, but I'm still here." At that moment, two uniformed officers stepped inside. Kunle rose to his feet, voice trembling. "This isn't over, Tomi. You'll regret this." But the officers guided him out, reading his rights as cameras from Segan's team recorded the entire scene. Tomi watched him go, not with joy, but with a deep, aching sorrow. Love had turned to ashes. That evening, news headlines blazed across Lagos. Real estate mogul arrested for fraud and attempted extortion. Wife survives betrayal, reclaims $500 million empire. Tomi sat by the window of her safe house, the city lights reflecting in her eyes. She had won, but victory felt heavy. The man she once loved was now her enemy. Still, there was peace in knowing the truth was out. Just as she began to relax, her phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number appeared. "You think it's over? Wait until you see what he left behind." Tomi's brow furrowed. "What does that mean?" she murmured. Segan entered the room moments later, his face pale. "Madam, we just searched Kunle's apartment. There's something you need to see." He handed her a sealed envelope, marked confidential. Inside was a single page, a will, and in bold letters, "If anything happens to me, Tomi will be held responsible." Tomi's hands trembled as she looked up at Segan. "What has he done?" she whispered. Segan swallowed hard. "Ma, there's more. The police just found a hidden account with your name on it, used for laundering money." Tomi's heart sank. Kunle's revenge wasn't over. He had planted traps, legal ones, to destroy her reputation even after his arrest. Cliffhanger. The door swung open as two detectives stepped in, holding a warrant. "Mrs. Tomi Adebayo," one said sternly, "you're needed for questioning in connection with multiple fraudulent accounts." Tomi froze, the weight of betrayal crashing down once again. Could Kunle's shadow still ruin her life, even from behind bars? What do you think, viewers? Is this Kunle's final move, or will Tomi find a way to clear her name? Comment your thoughts, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for the next chapter. Coming soon. The fluorescent lights in the police station cast a cold glare over the tiled floor as Tomi sat in the interrogation room. her heart pounding. Her hands trembled slightly as she tried to steady her breathing. She had faced betrayal, violence, and humiliation, but this was different. This was a trap she hadn't seen coming. Detective Adewale entered, carrying a thick file. He took a seat across from her and placed the documents on the table. "Mrs. Tomi Adebayo," he began, voice firm but not unkind, "we've traced several large wire transfers to an offshore account in your name. These funds appear linked to fraudulent real estate deals, the same ones your husband, Mr. Kunle Adebayo, was charged with." Tommy's eyes widened. "That's impossible. I didn't open any offshore account. Kunle did all the transactions. He forged my signature on everything." Adewale leaned forward. "Can you prove that?" Tommy swallowed hard. "Yes. My lawyer and investigator have all the evidence, recordings, signed statements, even emails showing Kunle's deception." "Then I suggest you bring it quickly," the detective said, "because right now, the prosecutor wants to freeze all your assets pending investigation." The word struck like a hammer. Freeze her assets? That meant every bank account, every property, every investment gone until she cleared her name. Kunle's final revenge was unfolding exactly as he planned. "I'll get the proof," she whispered. "I'm not going down for his crimes." Adewale nodded. "We'll give you 48 hours to produce evidence. But if you fail, we'll have no choice but to detain you." Tommy walked out of the station with her lawyer, her mind spinning. "This is madness," she said, her voice cracking. How could he plan this far ahead? Mr. Adebayo placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "He's desperate. He thought if he can't win in court, he'll destroy you from the shadows. But we can beat him. We just need the missing link, proof that he created that account." Segan, the investigator, joined them in the parking lot, holding his tablet. "Madam, I may have found something. There's a CCTV clip from the bank. It shows Kunle entering with a woman 2 months ago, the same day the account was opened." Tommy's hope flickered. "Which woman?" Segan zoomed in. The image wasn't perfect, but it was clear enough. "Linda." Tommy clenched her fists. "She's been part of this from the beginning." Mr. Adebayo's eyes narrowed. "Then she's our key witness. If we can get her to talk, we can clear your name." Tommy stared out over the busy Lego street, the sound of car horns blending with her racing thoughts. "Then let's find her. Tonight." By evening, they tracked Linda to a high-rise apartment in Ikoyi. The lights inside were dim, music echoing faintly. Tommy pressed the intercom button. After a long pause, Linda's voice came through, cold and sharp. "Who is it?" "It's Tommy. We need to talk." There was silence, then a click as the door unlocked. Inside, Linda sat by the bar, swirling a glass of wine. She looked glamorous, but there was tension in her eyes. "So the mighty Tommy returns again," she said, forcing a smile. "What do you want this time?" "The truth," Tommy said firmly. "You were there when Kunle opened the offshore account. You helped him, but now he's trying to frame me. If you don't speak, you'll go down with him." Linda scoffed. "Frame you? Don't play innocent. You and Kunle built everything together. You both knew the game." "I built the empire," Tommy replied, her voice rising. "He just tried to steal it." Something in Linda's face softened, a flicker of guilt. "Linda," Mr. Adebayo said calmly, stepping forward, "you know the law. If we prove your involvement, you'll face jail time. But if you testify truthfully, we can request leniency." Linda set her glass down and sighed. "Kunle promised me everything. He said you wouldn't survive the accident. He made me believe it was all legitimate. But then, he changed. He started threatening me too." Tommy took a step closer. "Help me, Linda. For once, do the right thing." After a long pause, Linda nodded slowly. "Fine. I'll testify. I'll give you the recordings. Kunle used my phone to contact the bankers. Everything's saved in my cloud." Relief washed over Tommy like a tide. "Thank you." But before they could leave, Linda's phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen, her eyes widened. "It's Kunle," she whispered. "He's calling me from prison." "Answer it," Segan urged. "Put it on speaker." Linda hesitated, then pressed the green button. Kunle's voice came through, cold and venomous. Linda, I know what you're doing. Don't betray me. You think Tomi will save you? You'll go down with her. Linda's hand shook. Kunle, I can't keep lying. The police already know. There was a sharp laugh on the other end. You think they know everything? Wait until they find out who really caused that accident. Tomi froze. What do you mean? She shouted into the phone. What are you saying, Kunle? But the line went dead. Silence filled the room. Mr. Adebayo turned to Tomi, eyes wide. Tomi, is he suggesting the accident wasn't an accident? Tommy's breath caught. Memories flooded back. The sharp screech of tires, the blinding headlights, the feeling of being thrown into darkness. Could Kunle? Segan's voice broke the silence. If he orchestrated that crash, then this isn't just fraud. It's attempted murder. Tomi sank into a chair, trembling. He wanted me gone. He didn't just leave me to die, he planned it. The weight of realization crushed her chest. But there was no time for grief, only action. Linda, Tomi said, rising, her voice steady now. We're taking your evidence to the police. Tonight. He's not destroying me anymore. Linda nodded weakly, tears glistening. Hours later, they arrived at the station, presenting Linda's statement and recordings. Detective Adewale listened carefully, reviewing every detail. When he was done, he looked up. This changes everything. We'll reopen the accident investigation. If we can connect Kunle to the vehicle that hit you, we'll charge him with attempted homicide. Tomi felt a surge of fierce determination. Do it. I want him to face everything he's done. Adewale nodded. We'll get to the truth. But as they prepared to leave, another officer rushed into the room. Sir, urgent call from the prison. The suspect, Kunle Adebayo, collapsed in his cell. He's been rushed to the hospital. Condition critical. Tomi froze, her blood turning cold. Kunle, the man who betrayed her, stole from her, tried to kill her, might die before she ever got justice. Tomi stared at the officer, heart pounding. Is he dying? She whispered. The officer nodded grimly. He may not make it through the night. If Kunle died now, the truth about the accident might die with him. Tomi clenched her fists. No, he can't die yet. Not before he confesses. She grabbed her bag and turned toward the door. Take me to him. Now. Rain poured heavily over Lagos that night, the city streets glistening under streetlights as Tomi's car sped through traffic. Her heart pounded with every second that passed. Kunle, the man who had betrayed her, stolen her fortune, framed her, and possibly tried to kill her, was lying in a hospital bed, fighting for his life. And if he died, so would the truth. Please, God, she whispered, staring out the window. Just let him speak before he goes. By the time she arrived at St. Nicholas Hospital, the halls were buzzing with whispers. Officers stood near the ICU, and a nurse hurried over the moment Tomi appeared. Mrs. Adebayo, the nurse asked softly. Yes. Is he still alive? Barely. He's unconscious, but the doctor says he may wake for a few minutes. He's asking for you. Tomi's knees almost gave way. He asked for me. The nurse nodded gently. You should see him now. Tomi walked down the corridor, her footsteps echoing against the cold tiles. The air smelled of antiseptic and sorrow. As she entered the room, her breath caught. Kunle lay pale and frail on the bed, tubes running across his body. His once proud face looked hollow, his breathing shallow. She approached slowly, a storm of emotions churning inside her. Anger, grief, love, and disappointment all tangled together. When his eyes fluttered open and found hers, a flicker of guilt passed over his face. Tomi, he whispered, voice raspy. Tears welled in her eyes. Why, Kunle? Why did you do all of this? The lies, the theft, the accident. He turned his gaze away, shame flickering across his features. I wanted more. I was tired of being in your shadow. Everyone praised you, called you the brain of the empire. I felt small. So you try to destroy me? She asked, her voice trembling. Kunle's lips quivered. I didn't mean for you to die. I just wanted to scare you force you to give me control. I hired those men to stage a crash, but it went wrong. They hit you harder than planned. Tomi gasped, stepping back. You planned the accident. Kunle nodded weakly, tears sliding down his face. I lost everything chasing pride. And Linda, she only used me too. Now look at me. Silence hung heavy between them. Tomi wiped her tears, her heart aching with the weight of his confession. Kunle, she whispered, you broke me. But you also taught me that love without respect is poison. He looked at her, eyes softening. I'm sorry, Tomi. I don't deserve forgiveness, but please clear my name for our children. Tell them I wasn't all evil. Tomi took his hand gently. I'll tell them the truth, all of it. Not to protect you, but to teach them what pride can destroy. His breathing slowed. Thank you for everything, even when I didn't deserve it. The monitors began to beep wildly. Nurses rushed in, shouting for the doctor. Tomi stepped back, watching as they tried to revive him. But after a few tense moments, the doctor turned to her and shook his head. Kunle was gone. Tomi stood still, her heart torn in two. She had wanted justice, but not like this. Days later, Lagos was buzzing with news. Kunle Adebayo dies in custody. Wife clears name with evidence. Widow of betrayed marriage inherits $500 million empire. Tomi sat in her office overlooking the city, the same skyline she once dreamed of conquering. The empire she built was hers again, but it felt different now. The money, the power, none of it could heal the scars inside. She chose to donate part of her wealth to accident victims and women recovering from domestic betrayal. Women who, like her, had been broken by love but rebuilt through resilience. In a quiet ceremony, she visited Kunle's grave. Standing over the marble stone, she whispered, I forgive you, Kunle, not because you deserve it, but because I deserve peace. The wind rustled the leaves around her, and for the first time in years, she felt light, free. As she walked back to her car, her phone buzzed. It was a message from Linda. I've left Lagos. I want to start over. Thank you for showing mercy. Tomi smiled faintly. We all need second chances, she murmured. She climbed into her car, the city stretching before her, vibrant, alive, full of possibility. Her story was no longer one of betrayal, but of rebirth, because sometimes surviving the fire is the greatest revenge. What did you think of Tomi's journey? Should she have forgiven Kunle, or let him face full punishment? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more gripping African marriage dramas about resilience, betrayal, and redemption.